Hey guys, and welcome to today's video. So today we're going to be doing another battle of the makeup, battle of the brands, and today we're doing powder. So we're going to go ahead and set down this beautiful base and see which powder really is the best. We have the iconic Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Finish Skin Perfecting Micro Powder versus the new Nars Soft Matte Advanced Perfecting Powder. They are both supposed to be very smoothing to the skin, minimize pores, smooth texture, lock in the makeup all day. I will say that the Nars one has a more claims for long wearing, which I like, and I'm excited to see. So we're going to do a side-by-side which one is better. Okay, so Charlotte. So the Charlotte Tilbury, which we will do on this side right here, is $60 for 8 grams, whereas the Nars is $46 for 9 grams, so significantly cheaper when you think about it. It is $14 cheaper and you get a whole extra gram of powder. The Charlotte Tilbury is supposed to be an ultra fine setting powder that blurs imperfections, visibly reduces shine. It's supposed to have medium coverage, a natural finish, doesn't cake or sit in fine lines. It has rose wax and almond oil to hydrate and smooth the skin, and it gives you that perfecting finishing touch. The Nars is a multi-purpose skin perfecting powder that blurs imperfections, smooths the look of skin, and sets the makeup for up to 24 hours. It's medium coverage matte finish. It has cocoa butter treated mica minerals to allow the formula to glide on effortlessly, leaving the skin feeling like silk. Niacinamide to minimize the appearance of pores and absorb oil over time. An adaptive oil controlling technology that is a dual powder system that traps excess sebum and mattifies oily, blurring imperfections, lasting up to 24 hours, no dry or cakey feel, and it has those beautiful ingredients. I would say from the claims, I think this one sounds better, especially for my personal skin type and preferences. I like a powder that locks the makeup and controls shine, as I am combo oily skin type. But this one is a really good powder for more dry, mature skin, textured skin. I really like this one, but it definitely isn't my top pick if I'm going for all day wear, because I do find it doesn't lock the makeup in like my favorite loose powders, like my One Size. So I'm hoping that this will be just as silky, smooth, and really refine the pores and perfect the skin like my Charlotte Tilbury, but maybe last a little longer. So I got the shade Cliff in Nars. Let's see, Nars has eight shades. Charlotte Tilbury has only 4, so there's actually a better shade range for Nars as well. This is looking like Nars is sounding a little better. Both of them have beautiful packaging. They're nice and sleek. Honestly, I think I prefer the Nars. I really love the black, soft matte black crispness of it, but this one's really beautiful too, with like the almost clamshell looking golden. They're both beautiful in their own way. So I'm going to go ahead and set them both. First, what I'm going to do is I think I'm going to use a sponge on the top half of my face and a brush on the bottom half, only because I want to see how both perform. But I also know that I'm going to want the sponge for under my eyes. As you can see, this powder is very well loved. We've hit pan, so I'm going to go ahead and grab this. This is the shade Fair, and I'll show you what it looks like under the eyes and in my troubled texture area. Oh, I always forget how much I love this. So again, I'm using the sponge for this area here, because I do prefer the sponge, and then I'll use kind of the brush for the other area. I mean, it's going to be hard to really tell a difference, but as you can see from this to this, it's completely smoothed the under eye and the excess or enlarged pores, sorry. It really just smooths the skin. It looks perfect. It adds like the slightest bit of coverage, so it evens out tone. It smooths even fine lines, any wrinkles. It just blurs and perfects the skin really, really nicely. So I absolutely love it. Now let's go in. I'm going to flip the sponge over where there's no product and just make sure that's all smooth. This looks like it's going to be a little bit lighter. So this is the lightest shade. This is the shade Cliff, which is also the lightest shade. So on the other side of the sponge, ooh, this is going to be much lighter. Ooh, very brightening. Do you see that? The difference really brightens the under eyes. The only thing is, like, I'm also going to apply it to my whole face, so it will lighten the whole face, which will make them a little uneven, but that's okay. I like the brightening effect under the eyes. I will say, though, I think I like this shade for the rest of my face, but that's not the brand's fault. It's just I would want to maybe get a darker shade and maybe do like the cliff under my eyes. You know what I mean? But let's go ahead and see. Ooh, okay. I would say that the Nars looks ever so slightly more matte, but they both smoothed the skin and smoothed my pores. They both look really, really beautiful and smooth and seamless. The only difference is that the Nars looks a little bit more matte. For under the eyes, I would say that the Charlotte Tilbury maybe possibly looks a little less dry under the eyes, but it also looks like it didn't lock the makeup in as much. Like, it looks like it's creasing a little more. You see what I mean? Like, if you look under here, it maybe looks a little more dry, but if you look under here, it doesn't look as dry, but it also looks less set, if that makes sense. I think I like the Nars better. Now, I will say, if you have dry skin, I don't know if you'll love this because it is definitely more matte. I'm noticing under the eyes and just on the side of the face, it's looking definitely super matte, whereas this one just looks more natural finish. I'm totally seeing their claims coming true. So it's just kind of preference, I think. But if you are oily combo skin and you want a pressed powder that smooths your skin as much as the Charlotte Tilbury does, but is a little more matte, I would say go with the Nars hands down. And I do really like the way it looks under the eyes as well. I have a really hard time finding a powder that looks good under the eyes, except for my couple favorite loose powders. And when I bake, it really gives that perfect smooth under eye, whereas these both really do a great job. And honestly, I think I like the Nars better. I'm going to add a little more of the Charlotte Tilbury just to kind of see if we can set that a little more. Maybe I didn't apply as much. Yeah, I would say they're very similar. Again, the Charlotte Tilbury is a little less dry, whereas the Nars is more matte. So they both have their pros and cons, but both of them look really beautiful on the skin. Let's take a brush with the Charlotte Tilbury and set. This is not my favorite brush. I thought this was a different brush, but anyways. I don't like brushes. I'm probably gonna go over with the sponge on my chin. I just feel like you get more product with the Nars. Like, it like comes off easier onto the... I don't know, guys. I might like the Nars better, if I'm honest. I'm going to take the Nars and press it with the chin. The other thing, too, is I know that the Charlotte Tilbury, if I wear this all day, I will develop more breaking down and creasing and separating of the foundation a lot quicker than my loose powders, and that's the only reason why I don't wear it all the time, because I do really love pressed powder. It looks a little less powdery than loose powder sometimes, but they don't lock the makeup in as much typically. But this Nars one is looking very matte, and I'm hoping that we're gonna get a long wear, because that would literally solve all of my life problems. My life will be perfect if this Nars powder works out. I'm just kidding, by the way. I'm really, really happy with this Nars one, and it brightened the under eye significantly more, but that's just the shade. Although I will say the Charlotte Tilbury didn't have a lighter shade. So if you're looking for something super brightening for under the eye, the Nars Cliff, like, it just has a better shade range. But I will say for all over this face, I would definitely have to bronze the face up a little more. So pros and cons, pros and cons. I'm going to shut up now, and I'm going to go ahead and finish up my makeup, and we're just going to do a wear test, a good old wear test, you know? Let's go ahead and see how this wears. Okay, guys, so we are at a good 9.5 hours, and I'm honestly not too happy with how my makeup is looking. Typically, this primer and foundation has been my go-to. The e.l.f. Power Grip, really good at gripping the makeup and making it wear for a really long time. The KVD serum is really good. Is it the most mattifying, long-wearing, oil-controlling foundation ever? No, but it doesn't normally look like this, and I think I know why. So this, I did add like a pretty good layer on, but I feel like it's the powder. So as I mentioned, the Charlotte Tilbury, I really like for how skin-like it looks, for how smoothing it is to the skin, but it just doesn't work the best for my skin type in terms of like a long wear, you know, powder, in terms of locking in the makeup for a long makeup day. So considering this is like a pretty decent amount of time to wear my makeup, it's like a full day. Normally I wouldn't just wear this. I would maybe wear this on a day where I am not going to be wearing my makeup for too long because I do love the way it looks, or I would maybe wear it more like on a no makeup day where I'm wearing like really lightweight thin makeup. I sometimes even apply this just on its own to kind of give my skin a little bit of a smoothing, mattified look. That being said, I do use this sometimes on clients, and I like this because it's good for more mature skin and whatnot, and dry skin, because it doesn't dry out the skin. So I would say that I already knew that this side was going to be looking a little more broken down. You can see it's pretty shiny up here, and then in beside the nose it's really breaking apart and separating and transferring, and then on the chin as well, you can see that. I mean, I made a finger mark. I mean, to be fair, that happens. So typically when my makeup looks like this, if you do go and set it down with that same powder, it typically does look a little cakey, which you can see in that area it does. On the Nars side, I would say it's maybe a little less shiny, like ever so slightly less shiny. Like you see, it's still shiny, but maybe slightly less shiny, especially in here. But you can see it kind of broke down on this side too. Like, it's not looking smooth. I mean, I need to wax my mustache, but it's like, you know, it's kind of not locking the makeup in as much as I wanted it to, unfortunately. So let's see how this one sets the makeup down. Yeah. If anything, I honestly think the Nars one looks worse. The Nars one was a more matte finish powder, and I think because it's more matte, once you go in and set down the rest of the face, it is not, it's clinging to those areas that are kind of broken apart. Let's see what it looks like on the forehead, because the forehead's not too bad in terms of, yeah, the forehead looks a little cakey. It's not like focusing, it's because it's my phone. Whereas the Charlotte Tilbury is probably gonna look very similar. And going in and retouching, I like the Charlotte Tilbury better. I honestly would say that they're very similar. So if you already like the Charlotte Tilbury, but you want a little bit more of a matte finish, I would say go for the Nars. But if you're looking for something similar to the Charlotte Tilbury that's going to last longer, this isn't it. If you already have a Charlotte Tilbury, I don't think you need to buy this one. If you want to repurchase, this one is a little bit cheaper, but keep in mind it's a little bit more of a matte finish. So if you are more dry, mature skin, I think you should stick with the Charlotte Tilbury. I think because I'm comparing it to literally my all-time favorite pressed powder, it's hard to beat it. So I think the fact that it lives up to that standard of Charlotte Tilbury level, we can give this a good, you know, review. It's a good powder. If you're looking for something that's going to last all day for an oily skin type, like, it doesn't live up to the claims, unfortunately. So yeah, I'm kind of mixed review. I feel like it's a good powder, but it isn't, it's, for my skin type, it's not groundbreaking. Like, I would, if I want to go all day, I'm going to go for my loose powder. If I want, as I said, a no makeup day, something more light, and, you know, maybe even just a powder to smooth out my skin, I would maybe go in with this. But again, it is, keep in mind, it is a little bit more on the drier side. I don't mind that because I am more oily and I do like a matte finish for that reason. But because it's matte finish, I expected it to be a little bit more long wearing, and unfortunately it just broke down. I mean, I'll continue to test it because I don't hate it by any means. It's extremely smoothing to the skin. It's extremely silky and beautiful on the skin. It's really lightweight. I really like it, but it just did not beat this one. The only difference really is that I think the Nars is a little bit better at mattifying the skin. But for some people, that's not going to be a good thing. You know, if you have dry skin, you're not going to like that. I don't think the Nars would be better than the Charlotte Tilbury for mature skin either. So again, I think it depends on your skin tone, skin type, which one you go for. I would say the biggest difference is price. Nars is cheaper. And then the last thing is I do like the Charlotte Tilbury a little bit better for touch-ups. Do you see the difference? Do you see how, like, sure, it looks a little cakey and not perfect, but this side looks like dry? Do you see what I mean? So anyways, that's like, if I hope that made sense. I was really trying to give you super detailed information so you have a good idea, not just like, I tried these powders and they're great. I don't want those reviews. I want you guys to really get a lot of information so that you guys can really buy the things that are going to work for you. Keep in mind, everything works differently for people. Some things I don't like, you'll like, and some things you like, I won't like. That's normal. But I just want to give you the best chance of finding a product you'll love without having to worry about finding a product that ends up not working out for you. Got me? You got me? I'm going to go wash my face off because I'm tired and I had a long day. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.